Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Let's welcome today's speaker, Rocky.
Rocky alcoholic. Hey, Rocky. I want to thank God for my sobriety. Wow, what a meeting. This meeting has always been very, very good to me. Thank you. Right, I'm gonna get a little up. Okay.
Good to go.
I have a list of 10 things I'm not allowed to say. You want to hear it? That's the right crowd. Defiance, my #1 characteristic. I didn't have the worst childhood, I had the longest. And thank you, Louis. It's good to be back. I haven't been here in a long time. I lived in Manhattan Beach for 45 years, and I moved to Palm Springs 4 years ago. And thank God it was God's decision and not mine. And I could see God working in my life in hindsight. And it's not always to know what it is right now, but this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm glad to be here. Welcome everybody, especially the newcomers and the chips and birthdays and the visitors, and all those commitment people. Half the meeting's got a commitment, and that's what AA is all about. Lewis says something like, geez, too bad the national election wasn't run like this. And it's true, because here you don't have an agenda. You're only here for service. It's all about love and service. We're not here for anything else. And anyway, yeah. My sobriety date is December 15th, 1981. My sponsor is David Barge, and my home group is the Roxbury Men's Stag in Beverly Hills on Wednesday night. That meeting's been there since January 17th, 1946. And I'm glad to be part of that. That's where I got sober, and my sponsor got sober, and people that I bring there get sober. And when I was new, they told me go to men's stags and book studies, and that served me very well. And men's stags have been a big part of my life, and so is H&I. I'm glad to see that H&I basket. The first 2 years I was in the desert, when I moved there, I didn't know anybody. It was like a newcomer. What are the meetings? Where are the meetings? You know, what's going on? I don't know anybody. So what do? I joined central office in H&I. You don't have to know anybody to be a volunteer. And thank God for that. And for 2 years, I went to Chuckawalla Prison. I haven't been to prison yet. YET. You're eligible too. And I would tell them when I go there, I said, I'm here by the grace of God. And, you know, I'm here to tell you, you know, I've been sober in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I could have been sitting where you guys are sitting very easily. So, I can't believe I drank for 20 years, sober 33 years, 40-year childhood. I'm 70 years old. I'm way overpaid. If I die today, I was overpaid. A few people know I've had a few surgeries. It was 6 years ago. I had brain surgery, and I didn't volunteer for that. And they went in there and they took out some stuff, but they missed this disease. And I still got all my old ideas. This disease is a tough little, you know. Every time I swear, I say a Hail Mary, so. Anyway, I'm still a liar, cheat, and a thief, sober. And I want to tell you that the highest I got here was human. I make many mistakes, and that's why it's a 12-step program, not a 12-meeting program. And I'm on sponsor number 6. I had 5 sponsors die sober. And I've always had a sponsor, a home group, and a sobriety day. So if you're new, that's a good idea to get those 3 things. Get dug in here. Get to know people, get them to know you. And don't be a stranger and don't fade away. My story, war fever ran high in a small New England town. Hey, it was World War II. I was born in 1945 in a small New England town, and Mom was an alcoholic. And God bless her, she never got to AA. She died from this disease, which is a terrible disease. And when I was in my comfort zone in the womb for 9 months, hour after I was born, I was longing for the good old days. And I had nicotine, caffeine, sugar, and alcohol, all the 4 food groups, and I'm not coming out. And they had to come in and get me. Mom had to have a cesarean, and even today when I leave the house, I go through the window. I was the youngest of 13 kids, and I had 12 older sisters. And I had to wear all the hand-me-downs. I went to school in high heels, but by God, I had shoes. And when I was born, I weighed 16 pounds, and the next day I weighed only 8. I was circumcised. You don't believe that? I couldn't walk for a year. Being born was my first resentment. That's when I went all the way back to my birth for that. Dr. Gaffney. And I was so angry I didn't speak for 18 months. And then Mom raised us alcoholically, and Dad worked a lot. Mom used to like to drink and bake. She'd bake a cake and let me lick the beater, and then she'd turn it off. And then alcoholic home. And when I was 8 years old, my father took me aside and left me there. And they said, "What do you want for your birthday?" I said, "I want a watch," so they let me. This is the start I had. I learned to be self-sufficient very early. And thank God for sports. I think sports saved my life. And I didn't drink. The first drink was 18. Didn't really start drinking until I was 21. But an alcoholic's an alcoholic. And all it takes is one drink to get it started. And there's some people that didn't drink until they were 30 years old. It didn't matter. The disease progresses anyway. Those 3 years of social drinking, the disease progressed. So I hit 21, wow, just like that. I switched from beer to scotch. That's all I switched. I switched from 8-year-old scotch to 12-year-old scotch. That was about the biggest switch I had. And if it still worked, you'd have a different speaker today. I got here in 79. I went out in 80. Made it back by the grace of God, a vegetable in 1981. And I couldn't get drunk and I couldn't get sober. And I was at the jumping off place. And I thank God for that experience. The best thing ever happened to me. Beat me into a state of reasonableness. And now the teacher appears. And thank God for sponsorships. If you're new, get a sponsor. What's a sponsor? A lot of people stood up. A lot of people showed you where to go to ask for a sponsor. I remember Rotten Ron was at the podium once, and he said the reason he picked his first sponsor because this guy was big, like a lumberjack, a big tough guy. And he says, "I'm from Nebraska, where men are men, women are scarce, and sheep are nervous." And so I got up there and I said, "I'm from California, where men are men, women are beautiful, and sheep are seat covers." Next guy gets up, he says, I'm from Wisconsin, where men are men and so are most of the women. So, interview your sponsors, see what they're like. Ask them if they work the steps and if they have a sponsor. My sponsor is Dave Barge, his sponsor is Lynn Wilder. And my sponsor's always had a sponsor. That's very important. So it was already mentioned up here what this thing sounds like up here. If I'm home alone, I'm outnumbered. All right? KRUD, KRAP, AM, FM, 24/7. No commercials, all bad news all the time. I go to bed, yada, 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 and I wake up and furthermore. So it ain't going away. You know, why do we come back after all these years? I know people that went out with 33 years. And this, cunning, baffling, powerful, patient, and persistent. My disease has all my patience. I don't have any. And it'll wait for that right moment when I let up and rest on my laurels. And I'm headed for trouble because alcohol is a subtle foe. And a lot of better people than I have gone out with this disease. It says death or insanity. You don't get to pick. It's either this, death, insanity, or the Pacific Group. My sponsor was not polite. He got sober in the Bronx in 1962. His sponsor was sponsored by Bill Wilson. You're not going to hear it from the horse's mouth. You're going to hear it from the other end. But thank God he was tough. They were tough on him, and thank God that's what I needed. I needed a lot of direction. He told me to get a magic marker when I read the book to underline everything that I identified with, and I got a black one. And I had the whole book blacked out. And he learned he had to be very specific with me. Very. I had a lot of brain damage. And thank God, he said, I'm going to do your thinking for you. I said, well, thank God, I was so tired. I didn't have, if I had another friend, another thought, another card to play, I would have took it. I got to the end of the line and I got out and I laid more track. You know, this disease is just only wants one thing, my last breath. You see. To give you an idea when I'm like this alcoholic, sees in a paper a talking dog for $100, so he's got to check it out. And he says, the owner, he says, what's the gimmick? He says, no gimmick, talk to the dog. And the dog starts right away. You know, when I was a pup, you know, the house caught on fire and I got everybody out of the house. I saved everybody's life and they took me to the White House. They gave me a medal and I'm at the White House and assassin was going to kill the president. I killed the assassin. I saved the president. He said, I'm surprised you never heard of me. I was in all the papers. I said to the owner, $100 for a dog like that? He says, yeah, but he's such a goddamn liar. You know, just because I have the gift of sobriety and the gift of gab, you got a sober liar, cheat, and a thief, you see? And that's why I have to do a daily inventory and meditation. Now, I don't know what happens to you when you meditate, but sometimes you might hear a voice, you see? And that's why I need a sponsor to check it out with, you see? And so this newcomer was meditating, and every day he heard a voice saying, sell everything and go to Vegas. Every day, for 2 weeks, he heard that loud and clear. So he sold everything, went to Vegas. He gets to Vegas, and he says, the voice goes, go to the MGM Grand. He goes to the MGM, and the voice says, now go to the roulette wheel. And he goes to the roulette wheel, and he says, now put everything on red 5. He puts on everything on red 5. And they spin the wheel, and it comes up black 6, and the voice says, fuck! That's why we have a sponsor. Next time you get a good idea, get a second opinion. Thank God for sponsorships. He said, don't take yourself so seriously. No one else does. I said, but I got a lot on my mind. He says, your mind don't hold that much. He had to reduce my ego. I said, I got an IQ of 160. He said, yeah, you and 159 other drunks. He said, when your IQ gets to 20, sell. And he had to constantly slow me down, put me in my place. No big deals. Easy does it. One day at a time. Keep it simple. Thank God for those little things, you know, and meetings, and meetings, and meetings. And I thought the first step was shut up and get in the car. And I had to sit in the back where the hump was. And the object was to get a newcomer so he could sit on the hump. And whenever anybody was speaking, we'd all pull up in that car and go to hear that person speak, like, you know, Chuck C. or Clancy or especially Ken O'Brien and Fred Ellis. Somebody, I don't know, maybe I was one that mentioned brain damage. One of the places I got sober at was Uncle John's Pancake House. It was a men's stag luncheon on Wednesday afternoon. And it was a smoking meeting. And they had one table that was non-smoking. And it was called the brain damage table. And that's where Fred Ellis presided. And there was 3 conditions to sit there. You couldn't drink, you couldn't smoke, and you had to have brain damage. And I finally fit. And I felt so comfortable. And that and the Roxbury Men's Stag. I used to get a double every Wednesday. Uncle John's in Roxbury. A lot of old timers. A lot of good information. If you're wondering where the miracle is, it's already happened. It was your last drink. You didn't know it was your last drink, did you? That was the miracle, you see. If you knew it, you probably would have had a better drink. Yeah. Not like that warm beer with a cigarette in it. So I got to do an inventory. He told me exactly what to do every day. Call him every day. He says, if you want me there for the landings, I got to be there for the takeoffs. So I had to call him every day. It doesn't make sense. Why call him at a certain time every day? I want to see how serious I am. And was I willing to go to any lengths? My sponsor said I have to wear a tie when I speak. Where does it say that in the big book? On page 76. Remember at the very beginning, you said you were willing to go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. So if your sponsor tells you to do something stupid, do it. If he does something illegal or immoral, get a new sponsor. Okay? A sponsor is someone that hates you. He's going to be mean and tell you to do stupid things, get here early, set up the seats, get a seat up front, and stay here and put away the chairs and clean up. I was at Ohio Street, and he told me to raise my hand. They gave me a mop, and I'm mopping the floor, and I'm not too happy. I didn't come here to mop the floor. And he said, let me introduce you to the guy at the other end mopping the floor. His name is Buzz. He's been to the moon. And I said, oh, hi, I've been there too. And if somebody with 3 years that's been to the moon can mop the floor, I can mop the floor. That's what Alcoholics Anonymous is to me. And so I love the fellowship and the communication and the language of the heart. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, how much money you make, who you know. We're all in the same boat. So if you new, pick up an oar, help us row the boat. Don't drill any holes in the boat. Come in here and join us. Take use of this thing, what we have to offer. So I went through the big book and the 12 steps. And while I was reading he told me exactly how to do a 4-step. He said, if you don't do everything exactly the way I tell you, give your 5th step to someone else. And I knew I didn't have a second chance. I just knew. So I was reading my 5th step, and he was writing. I thought he's not even paying attention. He had made a list of my character defects and my amends, which I didn't have the brains enough to do, or being out of myself enough to see what was going on. My problem's on 62 and the solution's on 63. It's that simple. Selfishness and self-centeredness. It's an out-of-self program. You got to give it away to keep it. You got to teach what you need to learn. And so he said, only you can make an amends and only God can remove a character defect. He says, your number 1 is arrogance. I knew that it didn't sound good, but I didn't know what it was. He says, it means that you could tell us what to do, but no one could tell you what to do. That's how he had to speak to me, very simply and very plainly. And thank God, he kept always bringing us back to the disease. And it's a very powerful disease, and that's why it's a 12-step program. See, if you don't take the first drink, you don't have the allergy. But the 12 steps are for the mental obsession, and that's why they wrote chapter 3. more about alcoholism, not more about alcohol. Why do we take that first drink? That's what the problem is. The problem centers in my mind. And like I said, it's very negative. You know what my blood type is? B negative. Give you an idea of a sponsor. I lived in Manhattan Beach for 45 years, and as you know, PCH can be very crowded with traffic. And this guy had a C&I dog he was trying to get across, and the dog pulled him right out in the traffic. And he got to the other side, and no cars hit him, and he takes a cookie out of his pocket, and he gives it to the dog. I said, "What are you, nuts? That dog almost got you killed." He says, "I just want to know where his mouth is. I'm going to kick him in the balls." So, get yourself a C&I newcomer. When I got here, I told you I stole a rope. 2 years later, I said there was a horse attached to it. I didn't get smart and honest real quick, real fast, and thank God it didn't bounce back too fast. It took me about 5 years to get back on my feet. For the first 3 years, I drove a car without a top, not a convertible. In the summer, it was a convertible. But I tell you, in the winter, it was wet and it was cold. And that's what I had to do for 3 years, and it's not fun. And reality sets in when you're at a red light and the wipers are going and everybody's staring at you. And I said, how in the hell did I end up like this? And I've been lucky. I've been able, I don't know how I did it, but I graduated from college drunk. I did everything drunk. Acting in college. The best job I ever had was a disc jockey. I quit on the air in a blackout. What more can I say? I mean, alcohol gave me wings to fly, and then it took away the sky. I'm a 3-time loser on the dating game. And the end of the 60s, early 70s, the daytime show, as long as you lost, you can keep coming back. And the prizes were better than the trips. And the third time, she said, if you're an alarm clock, how would you wake me up in the morning? I said, with a big dong. And that was the end of my my dating game. But I've been drunk when I got married. I got drunk when I got divorced. I've been drunk on jury duty. You do not want to be drunk on jury duty. That's a rude awakening. A lot of times you just wake up and say, oh God, I had one too many. You know, if you're sober, one is too many. The first drink has the last say. And I had to get out of that courtroom, and I went to the judge on the side and I said, I got to go home. My wife's about to conceive. And he said, you mean deliver? I said, either way, I got to be there. And talk about the grace of God. He let me go instead of the bailiff. And I mean, I drove drunk 20 years before I got caught. You know, I'm not proud of that, you know, by the grace of God. And you see in the news all the time, somebody kills somebody drunk. And that's a tough way to go. That's a tough. We have a friend down there in Hermosa Beach. On his last day of drinking, he killed his best friend. You see, this disease is terrible, ugly, and insidious, and it attacks within. You see, it wants to get me away from you. It does not like you. It does not like solution, 12 steps, big books. It doesn't like anything you have to offer. It wants me all alone. And then it can work on me and get me to take that first drink. You see, if you're too young, too hip, too cool, too smart, too bad. An example being too young, a teenager at a bar drinking shooters and throwing them down like macho, you know, 10 shooters, look at me. And an old guy says, kid, you keep drinking like that, you won't live long. He says, my grandfather lived to be 100. He said, drinking like that? He says, no, minding his own business. Now, there's a future draft choice. You can always tell an alcoholic, but you can't tell him much. I've been to marriage counseling. Anybody that's been married to alcoholic must have been to marriage counseling. At least the wife goes. But the object of the alcoholic is to blame. You see, it's you, it's him, it's her, it's that. You see, I can't look at me. I don't know how. I'm so selfish and so centered. How can I look at me? You see, and so I go, and he says, "What's the problem?" I said, "It's my wife. Every night she goes to Larry's bar and she'll have sex with anybody in the place." And he says, "Hold on, easy. Hey, take a deep breath. Okay, now tell me exactly where is Larry's bar?" Therapy don't work, not for an alcoholic. I'm an Irish Catholic alcoholic. I ain't telling you shit. I'm going to lie. I'm going to tell you what I think you want to hear. A psychiatrist is a total waste of money on me. But if you're a drunk, I'll tell you anything. And so will you. My sponsor said, "What did you like most about your second wife?" I said, "Her friend Maureen." It was the first time I told the truth. It just came out. Because it's one drunk talking to another. Just like Bob said, I've had all kinds of help, and nothing happened until Bill talked to me. Someone understood. He talked my language. You see? That's why I love you guys. You guys taught me my experience. So real quick here, I'll tell you the famous fish story. This small Catholic parish is getting a new priest on Friday, and they're going to have a dinner. So they sent the nun to the store to get fish, and she says, "You know, we got to have the best fish you have." And he says, "Sister, I got the best goddamn fish." She says, "You know, I'm a sister." He says, No, that's the name of the fish. Believe me, you're going to love it." So she goes back and she says, "You know what, Mother Superior, I got the best goddamn fish for Friday night." She says, "Hey, you know, please, you know where you are." She says, No, that's the name of the fish. You're going to love it. And so she goes to the bishop and says, "We got the best goddamn fish for Friday night." He said, "What, are you crazy?" She says, No, that's the name of the fish. You're going to love it. So Friday night comes, and they're all having dinner, and the new priest is there, and they're sitting around and having a good time. And the nun gets up and says, "This is the best goddamn fish I've ever had." And the mother gets up and says, "Yeah, it is the best goddamn fish." And the bishop, he says, "I concur with all you people. This is the best goddamn fish I've ever had." And the new priest, he looks around like this, and he stands up, he says, "I love you fucking guys." So, I'm gonna have to STOP saying fuck, but I just want to thank you because, you know, you've been very good to me, and I think it's time now for questions and opinions. Yeah, raise your hand. Any questions? Any answers? Yeah, yes, sir.
Hey, Rocky. Thanks for the laughs. And when you first came in, how long was it before you found your sense of humor and you kind of got over that angst of, fuck, this is where I'm at?
The question is, when I was new, how long did it take before I got a sense of humor? And that's a very good question, because I was really surprised when I had that first real laugh. Somebody said something and it came out spontaneously and it felt good. And I thought, geez, what was that? And you know, laughter is the first-rate, cheapest medicine. And it's for fun and for free. And if I hadn't learned to laugh at myself, I would have missed the biggest joke of all. You know? And if you learn to laugh at yourself, you'll have an endless supply of material. So laughter is a very important part. A lot of people, you know, when we had the Gong Show in Hermosa Beach, a lot of people said if it wasn't for the laughter, I wouldn't have fell in love with AA, you know? So, you know, thank you. That's very important. And we're in the world to play the role he assigns. Yes, sir.
Lou Alcoholic.
Lou.
I love your shit because you live since you were Mr. Dave's. Could you share with us some more about the spiritual enlightenment?
Spiritual alignment, your spiritual.
Oh, okay, yeah. What's my spiritual alignment or?
Enlightenment.
Oh, gee, almost every day. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with God as I understand Him. I pray a lot, I meditate, go to a lot of meetings, work with a lot of alcoholics. I got a job, I'm 70 years old, I got a job as a crossing guard. And I'm not kidding you, for the first time in my life, these little kids just stole my heart. And I look at it, it's mostly women and children. And I look at it and I look what I missed, you know? And I see that all the time. I get the sky, you know, and the birds. And I mean, it's everywhere, you know? God is always with me. He's always with you. And we're never alone. And sometimes He makes me laugh. Sometimes I make Him laugh, you know? I tell Him my plans. And so I talk to God all day long. And basically, when fear and anger crop up, I ask God to remove it at once. That's big for me.
Rocky, thanks. What do you think are the value of commitments in AA?
Very good. What is the value of commitments in AA? Very good question and very important. I had commitments when I was new. I've always had a commitment. Can't even think of them all right now. Secretary and I pick up Jim Stimson. He's 90 years old. He's sober 50 years. I pick him up every Tuesday. You take him to the only meeting he can get to. And that's my commitment. You see, that's for me. And he thanks me. Oh, thank you. That's for me, what he does for me. And that's it. I finally learned, and giving is the answer. Because I'm a taker, and takers are losers. And I'm a user, you see. And I found here, for fun and for free, we give freely what we find. At Roxbury, set up the chairs and made the coffee and brought the cookies, you know, and these little simple things. What does that have to do with getting sober? They used to call it dishpan therapy. And my sponsor got his first commitment in the kitchen with his gun. He said, I'm now cleaning the coffee cups. And a commitment is so important because it's going to get you here whether you want to or not, whether your head says so or not. Because a commitment is no choice. If you don't have a commitment, you may or may not go. If you have a commitment, you got to go. I had to go here today. That's a commitment. There is no choice. Upon awakening, I go back to sleep. Yes, sir.
Hey, Rocky, thank you so much for your share. That was great. I go to a meeting that's an offshoot of the Uncle John's meeting. I really appreciate your meeting. You said in the beginning your sponsor told you about going to the men's stag and the book studies. What's your feeling about also telling the newcomer to go to mixed meetings?
Oh, I don't have any. Yeah. He said that. I mentioned when I was new, men's stags and book studies. He said, how do you feel about telling a newcomer to go to mixed meetings? I have no problem telling a newcomer to go to any meeting. You see, there's only two kinds of meetings, good and bad, and you only have to go to both of them. Okay? But find out what works for you, because this is a completely unique meeting. You see? And they're all, and try them all. And people, when they travel, they try meetings that, you know, they never would have been to. Take advantage of it, you know. I'm lucky I got to go to the desert and I got to meet a whole lot of people and see a lot of different meetings, you know. It's just, it's for fun and for free. It's just open to everybody. It's just amazing. Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about your surgery and how was it hard for you to stay sober? Was that a test for you?
Yeah. He said, my surgery, was it hard to stay sober? And I had, in 1997, I asked the God to remove lust, and He removed sex. And I had prostate surgery in 1997. And I was worried about that, you know, because they say, boy, they're going to give you pills, you know, they're going to give you something. And I had no trouble with it. I mean, AA was there. They thought I was a movie star. AA has always been there. And I didn't have to take pills, and I didn't have to drink. I had no desire to. When I was in pain, I took Tylenol and I prayed. And it passed. This too will pass. I don't care what's going on, this too will pass. All things must pass. But I had a lot of support, a lot of prayers, a lot of calls, a lot of visits, a lot of AA, you see. And that's what will surprise you if you keep coming back. Someday it's going to hit the fan and AA is going to be there and you're going to be surprised who shows up, you see, because we show up. And then I had brain surgery and I had a little trouble coming back from that because, you know, I had to kind of, you know, readjust my life again. And, but I guess here I am 6 years later and my brain's still B negative. And so anyway, I don't do anything alone. All right, last question. Yes, sir. Oh, amends. Oh, well, first of all, what was my amends process? First, I remember my sponsor, first thing I heard him say, you got to pay back all the money. And I was unemployed and unemployable. And it took me 15 years to pay back all the money. And I've given a lot of money to charity, not because I'm good or spiritual, because I couldn't make direct amends. But the amends were, like it says, there's 12 promises for the amends alone. And it was well worth it, you know. And, you know, I just can't say enough about the ninth step. It just, I still, you know, I still reap rewards today for that. And I still give to charity when I can. And those people I couldn't find, I pray for them, and I'm sure they're doing a lot better without me. I think that's it, okay.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs, long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down. And then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. and I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.